Okay, so this is just to get you started on assignment 1.5 using HTML to structure text. What you learned, this project will allow you to practice your newfound HTML skills. What does that mean? Well, the reading assignment at the beginning asked you to open up the HTML book that is available online, and it's the Shay Howe book, and read lessons 1 and 2. This will guide you through the process of getting started with HTML, building your first web page, which you should have already done in another assignment. By all means, if you read through this, though, follow along and see what the tags are and that the author is talking about. And getting to know HTML just gets you a little bit more. Semantics Overview. This is something that you really need to get a grasp on as far as HTML5 is concerned. Semantics with HTML are important. You know, what, why, and how. And I made a mention in a previous lecture that, well, it used to be that we had codes for everything, but we had to define them ourselves. And since we're working usually as a team, and when it comes to web design, you want to be able to express what the tags are using just words that everybody understands. So semantics are important. In the first lesson, this is very basic HTML. We won't even get into semantics tags for this, so let me close that. But like I said, I hope that you did read or are reading lessons 1 and 2. You will create an HTML5 web page. If I haven't mentioned it before, HTML5 is the current version of HTML. I think we're in 5.1, and even if 5.2 is already out, we'll still keep on calling it HTML5 for the foreseeable future. Step by step, open this text file. This link right here will take you to a GitHub file that's only text. You can do this one of 2 ways. The easier way is the second way. I'll click on raw, and that just shows the text. This is what you need. This is just a whole lot of verbiage, lots of words. I'm going to click somewhere in the page. I'm on a Mac, so I'll press Command A. If you're on a PC, press Control A. You can also right click, I think, and select all. No, but basically I'm selecting all the text. I will right click and copy. Then I'll hang on to that. Copy and paste the content of the file into your text editor. Well, I need to open my text editor. So let me do a spotlight search and get Atom going. Wait for it to load, and I should already have week 1 through 8 in my local folders. There's week 1 and there's the index page. I'm going to close this welcome, the telemetry, and this blank file that's there. And stage changes. I just want to have nothing to bother me here. Here's the index.html. That's what I need, and I need the GitHub on the side when it comes to publishing. Okay. Maybe I moved a little too fast by copying all that text. Still open? Yes. I'll come back and copy it again probably. What I do need to tell you that, you know, the instructions basically to everything here are on the first 2 lessons. They're also on Google. Save the new file as index.html. I'll show you that in a second. But mark up the text so that it's valid HTML. Your document should be at minimum include the following elements: HTML, head, title, body, H1, P, UL, and LI. So it expects you to code the HTML, give it a title in the header, build a body, use a header 1, and use some paragraphs, do an unordered list, and then a list item. So very basic HTML. If you go to your book on lesson 1, building your first web page, I'm going to do a quick search here for tag HTML, building your first web page. HTML. So all HTML documents have a required structure that includes the following declaration of elements. Doc type, that's at the very beginning. This is what will declare the document to be an HTML document. Then the head will have additional information. The body will actually carry the larger weight of the text. I scroll down a little bit. All of the visible content within the web page will fall within the body element. A breakdown of a typical HTML document. This is very important. This breakdown of a typical HTML document structure that looks like this. This basically is every web page ever built. So these 11 lines of code, I will select, right-click and copy, go to my index page and paste it onto my body here. So just by copying and pasting that, I have built a hello world file. I'll press Command plus, Control plus on your PC to make this a little bit larger, easier to read. I wear bifocals. So at the very beginning, it declares that this is a document type of HTML. And then your HTML has an additional code in here that says the language for this page is English. Then we have our head information, which covers from line 3 to line 6, where we have meta information about the character set. Basically, we live in the Western Hemisphere, so the letters, the alphabet that we use is all according to UTF-8. The title of the page is Hello World. We'll change this in a second or two. And then the head is over. Everything's inside of the body. Right now, there's just a couple of tags. Hello world, this is a web page. By the way, all of this is a web page that we can already see because we're working in a local environment. I'm going to right-click on the index HTML file and find Reveal in Finder. This is great for a Mac. I think that it says Reveal or Show in Explorer if you're using a Windows machine. It will show you this is the file you're looking at, buddy. Double click it, open it, and now we see what the page would actually look like. And it doesn't show me anything because I'm going kind of fast, aren't I? I should save it first, File, Save, and then reload. And here's Hello World, this is a web page. If I right click and view the page source, I'll see the same 11 lines that I already typed in. Number 12 is blank and HTML just ignores it. So I'll close these two tabs and continue to what the assignment says. So basically we have already saved the new file as index.html inside of week 1. We're starting to mark up. We already have an HTML element. We already have the head. We're going to be working on changing the title. We're going to add body, which is all that stuff that I copied. And then we'll use these other tags. I'm going to go back to the big text that I opened. And I'm going to right click and copy again. And go back to Atom. And inside of the body, where I have these two lines, 8 and 9, I'm going to delete that and paste all that text that I just copied. So paste, and we have lots and lots of words. Notice how they don't fit inside of Atom, especially since I made the text larger. You can go to the View menu and say toggle the soft wrap, so then it will wrap it around the edges here. Notice how, however, now we have from line 1 to 13 is the code, and then the text that I copied, just pasted it in here, occupies all this space. This is actually just one line that goes all the way across the computer onto my desk and beyond the printer. It's showing it in, since it's a soft wrap, it's showing it to me wrapped around the area. So what are these things supposed to look like? Well, if you visited web pages in the past, you might have a clue already, but to get things a little bit more on level playing field, there is this other document that's attached to this assignment, and it's Neil Stevenson commandline.pdf. Basically, it's a free text that is the same thing that you just copied and pasted, but this is from a published book. And that's what it looks like. In the beginning was the command line, so there's a title here, there's an author, copyright, and then there's lots of text, and this is all the text that we copied and pasted. Notice how there's some headers along the way. Notice how somewhere around here there's going to be italics. I don't know that there's any bold. One thing that's missing though is I don't see an order list and an unorder list, but we'll figure it out. And because like I said, if you've seen web pages before, you'll recognize them, or or the need for bullets, the need for spacing, the need for bold or italics should sort of come natural as a reader of the web. I'll go back to my Atom and just get started with it. Well, let's look at this page again. At the very beginning, we know that we have the large text, so this would be the largest text in the whole content of these few pages. If you read through the book, they do mention header and header 1, and I don't know if that's in this first lesson or the second one. Here's the H1 element, which is the self-closing element. The hello world is large, and blah blah blah. Keep on going here, but basically there is one spot in here where they will show you that H1, even though it's the lowest number, it's actually the largest of the tags. Try to find it again, maybe on lesson 2. Oh, there it is. It's on lesson 2, headings. H1 is the largest one, and we start with that. H1 through 6. You see 1 is the larger one, 6 is going to be the smallest one. Should you always use heading level 1 when presenting headlines? Well, notice there's only one really large one, and then there's smaller ones. They're not as large as the first one. So I would recommend, as we start the tag, the very beginning, your first tag should be H1, and the beginning was the command line, and close the tag with tag angle bracket /H1 by Neil Stevenson. I would give it some importance here, and I'm going to use that as an H2, header 2, and close that. I know that I have lots of paragraphs, and so that's going to be a P for paragraph. That's also in the lessons in the reading. And I'm not going to do all the paragraphs, but you should, because when you turn in this assignment, it should be readable and it should be similar. I'm not saying it has to be the same as this. It should be similar to this PDF, where there are paragraphs that are separate. You can tell them apart. Here, you'll notice that there's a tab indention, and while we can do this with CSS in an HTML page, I don't expect you to work with CSS just yet. Here's the header, which is just as large probably as the byline, so I'll keep on using H2, and italic or emphasize I'll show you in a second. Let me go back to Atom, and I'll add another paragraph mark here. If you like, what I do usually is I just copy the paragraph and then just add the slash at the end and do /P. Same thing here, and I get to the point where I am at the next header. So this header, I'd say I'm going to keep on using H2, close it as an H2, and do another paragraph. So for you, like I said, I would really need all the paragraphs to be tagged. I will not tag all of these just yet. Go all the way to the end to see what else we can do. In the PDF, I'm going to close this original text. In the PDF, I see that hacker with bullhorn is italicized, and you will find what the tags are for that in the lessons. Just look for the section with italic text. So if I see that here's a bullhorn, that needs to be italics. I'm going to emphasize the text, and that's just the bullhorn here to the colon. Close the emphasized text, and then do emphasized text here. Can you tell what I'm doing wrong in this last thing? I'm going to save it, and I'll return to my browser and open up this particular page again. I may not have it open, so I'll reopen it by finding it once again on the Finder, showing Review in Finder, double click. And so I have an H1 up here, H2, I have some paragraphs, see how they are separate. And you can tell right away when the tagging and the coding ends. This is the stuff that you need to fix. You know that I just did some italics, and I think that's going to be on Hacker with Bullhorn, or Bullhorn. Buyer right here, I can see that it's italics, and it's italics here. The error that I committed is that I added the italics to emphasize the text, but I did not code the paragraph, so everything is still running to each other. So in the previous paragraph, do all the paragraphs, give them all a paragraph tag, but just so that you can tell what's going on here, I'm going to add a paragraph in the item just before, open and close. And then here, although emphasize begins, I need to say that this is a paragraph, and inside of the paragraph there's an emphasis that needs to be open and closed, and then at the end of the line the paragraph ends with /p. That also needs to happen in the next paragraph. I'll do the last one here. I still need to do an emphasis there, but I'll let you do that. I'll close all that, file, save, and reload. Command R, Control R on a Windows machine. And now I see that I still have a lot of untagged code or text, but at least my bullhorn, my buyer, etc., these are beginning to look like what it should look like on the printed page. This page right here. Now the assignment tells you that you need to have we already added an H1, we have paragraphs, but what about UL and LI? Let's see if we can find UL here. Just to see what lesson it's in. It's not on lesson 2, would that be on lesson 1? Maybe not. Well, since it may not be here, I will tell you what it is, or at least what it should be. So maybe this is something that you can add at the end. I'm going to look at here what you learn, what you'll produce. You will create an HTML5 web page, and this last paragraph, I'm going to copy this and go into Atom, and at the very bottom of the code, before the body ends, I'm going to paste what I just copied. Now here on the one before, just so that it doesn't get too scrambled, I'm going to add a paragraph mark and close it. And do the same thing here with the text that I just put in. Mark up the text so that it is valid HTML. So right here it should include the following elements. I'm going to create an unordered list. An unordered list, and I'll provide a link to you at some point, but W3 Schools will tell you everything you need to know about HTML. I'll say W3 Schools UL. An unordered list. Oh, the Google robot. That was unpleasant. Okay, so W3 Schools UL. It's just a regular Google search. W3 Schools, here's the UL tag. I'll visit that. It'll tell you a lot of stuff, and I'm sure that the text that we're reading has all these directions as well. An unordered list, this is what the coding would look like. If you try it yourself here, it'll show you what it looks like. Unordered list, basically it's just a list of things, and it's a bullet list. You'll see ... coffee, tea, and milk. If we wanted this to be an ordered list, it would be an OL instead of a UL. And that has 1, 2, and 3. It's ordered by numeric order. I'll get rid of the unordered list, or rather the ordered list, so that you have the UL. And it tells you, you introduce an unordered list with the tag UL, and then each one of the items inside is a list item, an LI. So for our list that we just added, I have this paragraph that introduces, so it needs to end here so that it goes to the next line. Before I start to code the list, I need to declare it with an UL. At the very end of the list, I need to close it, /UL. Each one of these items is a list item. So LI, HTML, go to the next one. Before we go to the next one, though, be sure to close it. And do the same thing for all of the other items in the list. So LI, title, H1, paragraph. If you've ever used Word, Microsoft Word, you've done this, you just haven't coded it manually. You've pressed bold, make bullet list, things like that. And I don't think that I need to close this paragraph here. I do need to close it up here though. So I did all of the introductory list items. I copied the /li so that I can tag it at the end of each one of these. I don't need the period. And then at the very end, the UL is closed. If I select all of this text and press tab, I'll get a little bit of a space here so that I can read it a little bit better. After the UL is done, the body closes and the page is basically finished. I press Command S to save, Control S on a PC, and I'll reload this page in my browser so that I have H1 for my title here, the big header. I have H2 for the subsequent headers. And then I've created an unordered list at the bottom. So bullet list of HTML, head, title, body, H1, etc. One thing that I haven't done yet, you'll see that the tab still has the title Hello World. That's because I haven't changed it. So at the very top, in the beginning was the command line. I'm going to copy this to command line. I already know what the title is, right? It's Hello World, so the title has been declared up here. I will replace this text with the command line. I'll capitalize the letter T and save it, file save. Return to my browser and reload it. And the command line is now my title. And if I hover on top, you can see that it shows me that the title of this page is the command line. So for this assignment, don't leave all of this text behind like this. Make sure that everything is tagged with a paragraph. If you see additional italics or emphasized text that needs to be changed, do that as well. Make sure that you add your unordered list at the bottom. We'll be talking more about lists later in the course. And to turn it in, make sure that you do publish this, and I'll go over it as we did before. It tells me that my Git is ready to stage one of these files. So I will double click it. It shows me what the changes were. It's lots of text that was added basically. And I will tell it to commit the changes. In the comments, I will say that this is my first HTML assignment. Commit to master. And then below, push 1, click on that. And that should be pushing it and publishing it. Now, I've been getting a couple of emails about this error. The tip of your current branch is behind the remote counterpart. Try pulling it before pushing. Actually, no, this is a new error. What happens here is that I made some changes in GitHub that I did not pull from the server and put into my local files, but it's telling me, I know that the file up there is really not any good, so I don't care if it gets erased. it tells me that to force the push, I could hold the Command or Control key while clicking. So since I'm on a Mac, I will hold the Command key and then click on push 1. Are you sure you want to force push? Yes, force push. And that should forego the error. I'll go into my repository, reload, and this is my first HTML assignment. It's already showing up as the comment, and here's all the tags and all the page that I added. I'm going to highlight the name of the page in repository. You could also type this. I just like to highlight everything, right click and say go to that page. And here's my published page in my account under week 1 index.html, everything all the way down to the unordered list. So make sure that you add emphasis to the rest of the list here. Make sure that you get the paragraphs going so that this is more readable. Think about what changes need to happen after this. Yes, I mean, it looks a lot like the original page, but think about how you can make this better later, or how you would like to make it better, because there's codes for everything, and we'll be talking about a lot of them. I'll see you in the next video.